Cathy Garcia-Prats, welcome to Living Smart.
Thank you, thank you.
I really enjoyed that, spending the whole day with you and your family. It's really wonderful. How did you build, though, the foundation for the kind of family that you have?
We sat down and we decided what we wanted in our family, and then started making the choices that enable that to happen. Because if you don't know what you want, then it's hard to get there. So we make choices.
But you would assume that most people want to have a happy family.
Yeah, but they often don't follow it through with making the choices that enable that to happen.
How do you know what choices those are?
Well, think about what you want. I mean, we wanted, you know, as we said earlier, we wanted our children to be respectful and responsible, and so we have to do that. We have to respect each of our members of the family. We have to be responsible in what we're doing as a parent. You know, what we're feeding them, what we're allowing them to do. All of those things come together to build your family.
You even told me, Catherine, that it was important for you to have a good marriage, to have the kind of family that you had. That you had to work on your marriage.
Right.
What are some of the things that you had to do to make sure you had the foundation for that family?
Right. Well, your marriage is the foundation.
Right.
Right. And well, Joe and I had to learn to all those things, to be loving, respectful, make those commitments to each other. But one of the things that's so important in a marriage is to help each other grow and be the people that we think God wants us to be. And so, you know, my respect of Joe and his strengths and appreciating his weaknesses is a huge part of it.
You talked about being, you know, the marriage and having a spouse who really believes the same things that you do and how to raise a family. What if you had been a career woman, do you think you would have been able to achieve this wonderful family that you have?
I think it would have been more challenging. But again, I think you can do it. But you would, again, you have to make other choices. You know, what type of a career, how far are you going to go in that career? Because you can only do so much in the course of a day. And so your commitments have to be divided. And so you have to make sure your children still understand that they're an important part of your life and that you give to them what they need. And if your career is going to pull you away from that, then you're going to have to figure out a way to balance the two.
Now, you're very lucky that you have the family that you have, obviously. But most families today are blended families or single-parent families. Can they achieve something similar to what you had as a single-parent family?
Oh, sure. The formula is the same. You know, I think we talk about love. We talk about respect. We talk about commitment. And, of course, we believe your faith, whatever your faith is, has to be interwoven into it. So those same principles apply. With a single parent, one of the biggest things I think they have to realize is they need support. They can't do it alone. Right. A blended family, if you need someone to help you get through some of the struggles, seek it, get there, you know, get the help you need. And Joe and I do that too. I mean, if we need help, we need advice, we need someone to explain how can we do this better, we get it.
Right.
We don't sit back and say we know it all.
We know it all, that's right.
We get the help we need, and we have support throughout our life, yeah.
You had 10 boys. How do you develop the potential of each one? Each one has a different, unique personality.
Oh, yeah.
How do you develop each one?
We think that's the fun part in a way. Challenging but fun, because they are all gifted differently. And so as they were younger and we started seeing what they liked to play with, what they liked to do, what their little personalities were like, we helped them. We helped them strengthen their gifts. And then if they had little weaknesses, they were shy, we tried to encourage them to get involved in certain activities and things like that. So it's feeling them out and letting them be what they are and not just mirror images of Joe and I, because they're so different.
What about building self-esteem in a child? Everybody wants to know how to do that. When do you start doing that, and how do you do it?
Well, I think it starts right from the beginning, when they're born, and your reaction with them and how you treat them, and if they feel loved. If they feel loved, that's a big step in the right direction. By loved, I mean by the way we touch them, the way we talk to them, the things we do with them. And that starts early, and then it continues. And then it's appreciating them for who they are, and not trying to make, you know, a Joe Pat into a Tony or a David into a Chris. Letting each of them have their skills, and then celebrating them.
Right,
we love to use the word celebrate because each of the boys is different, and we celebrate each one of them. And if they feel loved for who they are and for what they do, then that self-esteem just evolves.
Obviously, when you have 10 children, I'm assuming that you have your children helping each other out, supporting each other, protecting each other. How do you teach the children to care for one another and, to watch out for one another?
Yeah, and I think, again, I think it's that whole issue of respecting each one in the family. Respect is so important. It's, how we treat each other day in and day out. The please and the thank you. I mean, Joe and I have to set that example, and so it's please and thank you to each other. Then we say it to the boys, and they back to us. But what's often missed in a family is that respect for each of the siblings amongst themselves. That they love and respect each other. And so Joe and I are constantly reminding them, say please, say thank you to each other. Make sure you show your brother you appreciate that he did your dishes last night when you had an exam the next day. Those little acts day in and day out. It's not, all right, sit down, we're going to have a lesson on respect today. It's how you live. Right. And then celebrating that. We love to share a story with the boys when one of them received a big award at St. Francis. It was the Principal's Award. Now, this son was not the first one to have gone through the school, and yet he was the first one to receive this honor. It was his brothers who were the first ones out the door to celebrate and to congratulate him. And they were comfortable doing that because they felt good about who they are in and of themselves, and thus could celebrate with their brother. And so that's what you have to do that day in and day out.
Now, with that conflict, though, I mean, with that love and respect, you will always have conflict with 10 children. How did you deal with that?
Often it was sitting down and talking with them and explaining that, they couldn't treat each other this way. This was not a good way to treat each other. And how did this make you feel? How did that make you feel? Parenting and discipline is a constant in any home. I mean, to think people, the boys just were born and they just knew what to do, it doesn't work that way. And it's a constant reminder to them, this isn't going to work. Timeout works if it's not overused. And too many parents use timeout, but it's for everything. Everything the little child does that may not be exactly the way the parent wants it. Save it for those times when you really want to make an impact. And use that timeout to show them this is a time for you to get yourself back together and to act the way that's appropriate in our home. And I tell people too, I take a time out. When I feel like I'm getting flustered and, I'm stressed and I just think I'm going to blow it, it's time to take a time out. Go into your room, just, count to 10 or 100, whatever you need to kind of get refocused and how can I handle this in a better way? Right. And then, get back into the flow.
The swing of things.
Yeah.
Common mistakes parents make in disciplining children.
I think, number one, we overreact. I think we jump on every little thing and don't let them be children. And I see that often. Or the other way, when they just let their children do whatever they want. We have to remember we're the parent, and our children need to know what's right and wrong and good and bad and appropriate and inappropriate. And then we have to help them learn that. And a lot of parents are just, they're kids, or, that's just the way boys are. I hear that all the time. Oh, boys are that way. Boys aren't that way. They are if you let them be that way. But they can be disciplined and learn just like anyone.
But it's an ongoing process.
It's
not
ongoing.
Something that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
How did you talk to your children about sex?
Again, it's an evolution type thing. We would start usually with school. School's very helpful because they have a program that starts in the early grades on relationships, and it builds. And so it allows us that opportunity to integrate it into our learning process, I guess you could say. When they get a little bit older, you start getting into the middle school years and the high school years, we use a lot of things that happen in the media to teach the boys. I'll use an example. When, I'm going to blank on his name, one of Magic Johnson announced he was HIV.
Right.
And the media very much was talking about safe sex, safe sex.
Right.
It was an opportunity for us to take the boys that were of the appropriate age and talk to them about what we believed responsible sexuality is.
Right.
And so to counter what they're hearing in the media, if it doesn't go along with our values and what we want them to know. And if you don't do that, then they just assume everything they hear is okay.
Right.
And so we have to use those opportunities to say, this is how we believe, and this is what we think is responsible, and how you treat people, and what's important, and how this affects your life if you make these choices. So that's a lot of how we do it.
How can you be your parent, I mean your child's friend as a parent? Because don't you have to draw the line?
Yeah. I think as the boys have gotten older, and I mean older, they've gone through college and they're
married.
They're older. We are friends in a different way, but I'm not parenting them anymore. But in the early years, being a friend hasn't been our goal. We have a good relationship with the boys. We can talk with them. We can laugh with them. We go places together. We do things together. But I don't know if I'd say I'm their friend.
Right.
Because when you're a friend, you kind of let things go a little bit. And,
you accept more
You
things.
accept more.
Right.
Where, as a parent, it's your responsibility to acknowledge to them when something's not going right, or when they maybe need to work a little harder on something, or change. Maybe having temper tantrums, even at the age of 10 or 12, you know, that is not a healthy way to deal with the situation. I'm not sure a friend would always do that.
Right.
Peer pressure. Peer pressure. We like to say, and we tell the boys, peer pressure doesn't end when you're in middle school or high school or college. We have to deal with peer pressure, and we use examples of how we have to deal with peer pressure from other parents. Parents that allow their children to go to movies that we think are totally unacceptable. You know, a 12-year-old going to an R-rated movie, or even a 10-year-old going to a PG-13. We have to stand up and say, this is not a good thing. And, you know, we use the word choice a lot. You know, you make choices. And, you know, there's good choices and there are bad choices. There's consequences either way. And you have to be prepared to face the consequences for a bad decision when you let a group, let a friend lead you astray.
Did that happen?
And it's hard.
Did that happen?
Oh, sure. We have times when the boys have made decisions we did not think were in their best interest.
Right.
And they face the consequences. And we help them deal with the consequences and learn. You have to learn from your mistakes.
Right.
None of us are perfect. I've made my mistakes in life. Joe's made his. And the boys are going to make theirs. As a parent, you can warn them. You can tell them, you know, don't speed, you're going to get a ticket.
Right.
You know, it's just a simple example. When they get the ticket,
right.
you know what? They have to pay the fine.
Right.
They have to go through the class. They have to deal with it. And hopefully they learn from the experience. And that's what you want.
We saw in the story that family dinner is a very important aspect of the success of your family.
Oh, yeah.
What happens in a family dinner that you think is so important?
Oh, number one, I think it brings you all together.
Right.
In the course of the day. It makes you all stop what you're doing and come together as family. Otherwise, everyone's scattered, and you're never a unit. You're never that one group together. But over dinner, I mean, dinner at our house is fun because you're not only eating, you're experience each other's day, you're sharing. We like to think that it's not just a time to feed your body, it's a time to feed your soul and your mind. We teach at dinner in a very simple way, whether it's something that's happened in the news and we'll talk about it. The boys will share their experience of the day and laugh about what may have happened, or you know, a struggle that may have come across. But it's really a unifying time for a family to come together and share and laugh and nourish their bodies.
It's an opportunity for teaching moments too,
Oh,
right?
it's wonderful teaching moments, and we've used that. We remember when it was an anniversary of Nixon and the Watergate. This is before he had died, and so we were sharing the story about the Watergate with the boys. And Tony and David were probably in 5th, 6th grade, 7th grade maybe, and we shared that whole story, and they were disbelief, Mom and Dad, that didn't really happen. Yeah, it really happened. Well, we talked about that. They read All the President's Men. They read, and we use it as a teaching moment.
Can parenting skills, you think, for people watching, be learned easily?
Um,
What do you advise?
oh, sure. I think you can learn them. You can read. I don't think anything we do is this new formula, this magic, formula that's come out, in the last 30 years of our parenting. Yeah, but you have to apply it. You have to decide, okay, they say to be respectful and kind to each other. Are we doing that in our family? What kind of words are we using in our family? Are we using the way we talk to build each other up? Or are we yelling and screaming and tearing each other down? I think if we had one thing to choose to do, it would be that issue of respect in how we talk to each other and treat each other. And look at what are we doing as a family, and if it's not working well, then implement something to make that happen.
How do you instill responsibility in children?
You start at a very early age, and have them help around the house. When they're little, children love to help. They love to be a part of what you're doing. And unfortunately, we as parents tend to push them away because we can do things faster and we can do it better and it comes out the way we want it instead of the way the children want it. And so we tend to push them away, and then all of a sudden we want them to help. And we haven't done that. So we encourage the boys. When I'm doing wash and separating the clothes, there was Timmy and Jamie helping me do it. They're helping me put it in the machine. They're pouring in the soap. They're pushing the buttons. They're helping. And so gradually they understand that as a family,
Everybody
we all
has to
work together.
One of the most common problems parents complain about today is television, too violent, too much sex, movies, computer games. How did you deal with that? Because every parent has to deal with that today. Kids just love those computers. They love watching TV.
You have to, again, it's one of those choices you have to make, a responsible choice as a parent to limit those things that are not in their best interest. We think TV is a wonderful way for children to learn and do things, but you have to decide what's healthy and what's not healthy for your child and at what age, because not everything on TV is good for our children. Our rule at the home is there isn't TV after dinner. And so that gives them time to do their homework, for us to read, for us to interact. Same with the computer. The computer is an educational tool after dinner. We don't allow them to bring in those games that are not appropriate for any age. I mean, if they're not appropriate for the 11-year-old, they're not going to be appropriate for the 16-year-old to have on because the 11-year-old will be around. Computers should be in a very visible place in your home. One of the biggest things that a parent can do with computers and TVs is to not put them in a room. And that is advice of most psychologists that are out there today.
There's too much danger.
Unplug them in the rooms and put them where you can see them and have control over it.
Catherine, how do you know you're living smart?
I'm happy, and I think that tells me I'm doing something right. And I think the choices I've tried to make over the years have enabled me to be smart. I think I work hard. This isn't easy. Don't kid yourself. Having 10 sons is not, just this
not
cup
of tea.
Cake. No,
cup of tea.
It's work, but yet if we make choices on a regular basis, then we reap the rewards of that. And I feel good. I love being a mother. I love being with children. We love little Logan. Unfortunately, he's not in Houston, so it makes it hard. But we love what we do, and I think our children feel that love, and then it's reciprocated to us.
You're most proud of what, looking back at your family?
I am proud that the boys treasure each other as much as Joe and I treasure them.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And if you want more information on the Garcia-Prats family, check their website at garcia-prats.com. For more information on parenting, you can get a free pamphlet, Adventures in Parenting, from the National Institute of Health by calling 1-800-370-2943. Another helpful website is the National Parenting Center at tnpc.com.
Please remember to visit our website, houstonpbs.org/livingsmart, for a complete resource list. And feel free to share your parenting tips so we can post them. You can call us with your comments at 713-743-8513 or email livingsmart@houstonpbs.org.
I'm Patricia Gross. That's our show for today. Don't miss our next episode on natural hormones and nutrition with Dr. Phil Pylant. Remember to live smart. Thanks for watching and have a great week.